In Japan, obesity rates hover around 4%. In America, they're closer to 42%. That's a tenfold difference. So what's happening in a country where rice is eaten daily, desserts exist, and nobody's obsessing over keto or intermittent fasting? Here's the thing, it's not one secret ingredient, it's not a miracle food, and it's definitely not deprivation. It starts with something woven into nearly every Japanese meal. Something so subtle, most people don't even notice it. And it's just the beginning. Beyond the food itself, there's a centuries-old mindset around eating, moving, and living that naturally keeps weight stable without the need for calorie apps or restrictive diets. In this video, we'll walk through these everyday habits one by one, from portion philosophy to walking culture to the way meals are served, and show how they create a lifestyle that supports a healthy weight almost effortlessly. You'll see how these simple, practical principles can fit into your own life, no matter where you live. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Foundation. A different relationship with food. Japanese culture doesn't treat food as the enemy. There's no widespread fear of carbs, no demonization of rice, no guilt around eating. Instead, food is viewed as nourishment, pleasure, and connection, all at once. Meals are meant to be enjoyed, but within a framework of balance and respect. This isn't a modern trend. It's rooted in centuries of Buddhist and Shinto influences that emphasize harmony, moderation, and gratitude. In America, diet culture often swings between extremes: strict restriction followed by indulgence, guilt followed by another round of rules. That cycle creates stress, and stress affects metabolism, hunger hormones, and emotional eating patterns. Japan takes a different route. The concept of washoku, traditional Japanese cuisine, was even recognized by UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage. It's built on variety, seasonality, and balance. Meals aren't about one giant entree. They're composed of small dishes that together create nutritional completeness. This approach doesn't require perfection. It's not about never eating sweets or never having a big meal. It's about consistent, everyday patterns that feel natural rather than restrictive. And here's why that matters for weight. When food isn't framed as good or bad, people tend to eat more intuitively. There's less emotional eating, less binging after a period of restriction, and more satisfaction from smaller amounts. This foundational mindset sets the stage for everything else. Because once you stop fighting food, the other habits, portion size, meal composition, eating pace, fall into place much more easily. Next up, portion size, and why appropriate beats small. Chapter 2. Portion philosophy. Appropriate, not small. Japanese portions aren't tiny. They're appropriate. Walk into a Japanese home or restaurant, and you won't see one oversized plate. You'll see several smaller dishes: rice, soup, pickles, fish, vegetables, each in its own bowl or plate. This presentation does something powerful. It makes the meal feel abundant without being excessive. In America, portion sizes have grown dramatically over the past 50 years. A typical dinner plate is now 12 inches, up from 9. Restaurant servings are often 2 to 3 times what's considered a standard serving. We've normalized eating until we're stuffed, not satisfied. Japan takes the opposite approach. Meals are portioned to what the body actually needs, not what the eyes expect. And because meals are served in multiple small dishes, there's visual variety and psychological satisfaction. Here's the science behind it. Studies show that people eat more when food is served on larger plates, even if they're not hungrier. It's called the Del Boeuf illusion. The same amount of food looks smaller on a big plate, so we unconsciously serve and eat more. Japanese meals bypass this trap. A bowl of rice is a bowl of rice, not a heaping mound on a dinner plate. A serving of fish is palm-sized, not the size of a paperback book. And because there are multiple components to the meal, you're not left feeling deprived. You're eating a full, varied meal. It's just naturally calibrated to actual hunger, not external cues. This habit alone, eating appropriate portions from smaller dishes, can reduce calorie intake by 20% without any sense of restriction. Coming up, the power of rice, and why it's not the villain it's made out to be. Chapter 3. Rice as a foundation, not a filler. Rice is eaten at nearly every Japanese meal, and yet obesity remains rare. In the West, rice, especially white rice, has been vilified as a bad carb, but in Japan, it's a cornerstone of the diet, and people stay slim. So what's different? First, the way rice is served. In Japan, rice is presented in a small bowl, separate from other foods. It's not piled on a plate as a base for sauces and proteins. This keeps portions controlled and allows rice to be eaten mindfully, often in alternating bites with vegetables, fish, or soup. Second, the role it plays. Rice isn't a filler, it's part of a balanced meal. It's accompanied by nutrient-dense foods like miso soup, pickled vegetables, grilled fish, and steamed greens. This combination provides fiber, protein, and healthy fats that slow digestion and stabilize blood sugar. Third, the type and preparation. Japanese rice is typically short grain, slightly sticky, and eaten plain. No butter, no heavy sauces. This keeps it simple and lets the body process it efficiently. Compare that to the American approach. Rice is often fried, loaded with oils and sodium, or served as a side dish to an already calorie-dense meal. The rice itself isn't the problem, it's the context. Research from the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health shows that white rice consumed as part of a balanced, vegetable-rich diet doesn't contribute to weight gain or diabetes risk. It's the overall eating pattern that matters. Rice in Japan works because it's never eaten in isolation. It's always part of a complete balanced meal. Next, fermentation. Why miso, natto, and pickles matter beyond flavor. Chapter 4. Fermented Foods and Gut Health. Walk into a Japanese kitchen and you'll find miso paste, pickled vegetables, natto, and fermented soy sauce. These aren't trendy superfoods, they're daily staples, and they play a quiet but powerful role in weight management. Fermented foods are rich in probiotics, beneficial bacteria that support gut health. Over the past decade, research has increasingly shown that gut microbiome composition affects metabolism, inflammation, and even hunger signaling. People with a diverse, healthy gut microbiome tend to have better blood sugar control, less inflammation, and more stable weight. Fermented foods help cultivate that diversity. In Japan, miso soup is often served at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's made from fermented soybean paste and provides probiotics, along with protein and umami flavor. Pickled vegetables, called tsukemono, are served as small side dishes with nearly every meal. Natto, fermented soybeans, is a common breakfast food. These foods aren't eaten in huge quantities, but they're eaten consistently. That steady intake keeps the gut microbiome balanced and supports digestion. In contrast, the typical American diet is low in fermented foods and high in processed ingredients that can harm gut bacteria. This imbalance may contribute to weight gain, inflammation, and metabolic dysfunction. Recent studies published in journals like Cell and Nature show that people who eat more fermented foods have lower levels of inflammatory markers and improved insulin sensitivity, both of which are linked to maintaining a healthy weight. The beauty of fermented foods is that they don't require massive portions to be effective. A small bowl of miso soup, a few bites of pickles, that's enough to support gut health over time. Coming up, how fish and omega-3s shift metabolism in subtle but significant ways. Chapter 5. Fish over red meat. Japan is one of the world's largest consumers of seafood. Fish is eaten multiple times a week, often daily. Red meat, by contrast, is eaten sparingly. This isn't a modern health trend. It's been the norm for centuries, shaped by geography, Buddhist traditions, and agricultural practices. And it has measurable effects on weight and metabolic health. Fish, especially fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines, is rich in omega-3 fatty acids. These fats reduce inflammation, improve insulin sensitivity, and support fat metabolism. Studies show that people who eat more omega-3s tend to have lower body fat percentages and less abdominal fat. Red meat, particularly processed in fatty cuts, is associated with higher rates of obesity, heart disease, and metabolic syndrome when consumed frequently. It's also calorie-dense and often paired with heavy sauces and sides. Japanese meals center on grilled, steamed, or simmered fish, served with vegetables and rice. The fish is prepared simply, no breading, no deep frying. This keeps the calorie count reasonable while delivering high-quality protein and healthy fats. In America, protein portions are often large, and preparation methods add significant calories. A 12-ounce steak with butter is a very different meal than a 4-ounce piece of grilled mackerel with ginger and soy sauce. The Japanese approach provides enough protein to maintain muscle and satiety, but it doesn't overwhelm the meal or the digestive system. And because fish is lighter than red meat, meals feel satisfying without the sluggish, overly full feeling that often comes after a heavy meat-based dinner. So far, portions, rice, fermentation, fish. Next, the way meals are eaten, pace, presentation, and mindfulness. Chapter 6, Eating Slowly and Mindfully. In Japan, meals aren't rushed. Even a simple lunch is approached with intention. This isn't about being ceremonial or rigid. It's about being present, and that has real metabolic consequences. When you eat quickly, your brain doesn't have time to register fullness. It takes about 20 minutes for satiety signals to travel from your stomach to your brain. If you finish a meal in 10 minutes, you're likely eating past the point of actual hunger without realizing it. Japanese meals are structured to encourage slower eating. Multiple small dishes mean you're picking up chopsticks, setting them down, switching between foods. Soup is sipped. Rice is eaten in small bites. There's conversation, pauses, and a rhythm to the meal. Research from Kyushu University found that people who eat slowly consume fewer calories and have lower BMIs than those who eat quickly, even when the food itself is the same. In America, eating on the go is common. Meals happen in cars, at desks, in front of screens. This leads to mindless eating, where you're not fully aware of how much you've consumed or whether you're actually satisfied. Japan's approach brings attention back to the food. You notice flavors, textures, and fullness cues. You stop when you're satisfied, not when the plate is empty. This simple shift, slowing down and paying attention, can reduce calorie intake by 10 to 15% per meal without any sense of deprivation. Next up, a cultural ritual that prevents overeating before it starts. Chapter 7, Harahachi Buu. Eating to 80%. There's a phrase in Okinawa, one of Japan's blue zones where people live exceptionally long, healthy lives, Harahachi Buu. It means eat until you're 80% full. This isn't a strict rule. It's a cultural reminder to stop eating before you feel stuffed, to leave the table satisfied but not overly full. The idea is simple. If you eat until you're completely full, you've probably eaten more than your body needs. The fullness signal arrives late. By the time you feel full, you're often past the point of comfortable satisfaction. Harahachi Buu encourages people to pause, check in with their hunger, and stop eating when they no longer feel hungry, not when they feel stuffed. This practice is linked to lower calorie intake, better digestion, and healthier aging. Research on Okinawan shows they consume about 1,300 to 1,900 calories per day on average, enough to nourish the body, but not so much that it creates metabolic stress. In America, we're taught to finish what's on our plate. Portion sizes are large, and stopping before the plate is empty feels wasteful or unsatisfying. But Harahachi Buu reframes the goal. Satisfaction isn't about emptying a plate. It's about feeling energized, not sluggish, after a meal. Practicing this habit means tuning into your body's signals, eating slowly enough to notice them, and giving yourself permission to stop when you've had enough. Next, daily movement, how Japanese life keeps people active without exercise. Chapter 8, Movement woven into daily life. Most Japanese people don't go to the gym, and yet they're far more active than the average American. How? Movement is built into daily life. Japan has one of the world's best public transportation systems. Most people walk to the train station, walk from the station to work, and walk to shops and restaurants. The average Japanese person walks 6,000 to 7,000 steps per day. In America, the average is closer to 3,000 to 4,000. That difference, an extra 3,000 to 4,000 steps daily, adds up to burning an additional 110 to 150 calories per day. Over a year, that's 36,500 to 54,150 calories, or roughly 10 to 15 pounds of potential weight loss. And it's not just walking. Japanese cities are built for people, not cars. Staircases are common, elevators are used less, biking is popular. Even grocery shopping involves walking, since most people shop daily for fresh ingredients, rather than making one big weekly trip by car. This kind of movement is low intensity, sustainable, and doesn't require motivation or willpower. It's just part of getting through the day. In contrast, American life is built around convenience and minimizing movement. We drive everywhere, park as close as possible, and take elevators by default. Then we try to compensate with intense workouts, which many people can't sustain. The Japanese model shows that consistent, moderate movement, integrated into daily routines, matters more than occasional high-intensity exercise. It's not about adding an hour at the gym. It's about moving your body naturally, frequently throughout the day. We've covered the what. Now let's talk about the how, translating these habits into your own life. Chapter 9, Practical Lesson 1. Start with smaller plates and bowls. You don't have to move to Japan to benefit from these habits. You can start by changing one simple thing: the size of your dishes. Most American dinner plates are 11 to 12 inches in diameter. Japanese plates are typically 8 to 9 inches. That size difference changes how much you serve yourself and how much you eat without any conscious effort. Here's how to apply this. Buy smaller plates. If you're shopping for new dishes, choose 8 or 9-inch plates for main meals. Use larger plates only for serving, not eating. Use bowls for grains. Instead of piling rice or pasta on a flat plate, serve them in a small bowl. This naturally controls portions and mimics the Japanese style. Serve meals in courses. Instead of one big plate, serve soup first, then the main dish, then a small side. This slows the meal down and makes moderate portions feel more satisfying. Fill half your plate with vegetables. Before adding protein and grains, load up on colorful, low-calorie vegetables. This ensures volume and nutrition without excess calories. Studies show that visual cues matter more than we realize. A moderate portion on a small plate looks abundant. The same portion on a large plate looks skimpy, triggering the urge to add more. This one shift, smaller dishes, can reduce calorie intake by 100 to 300 calories per meal. Over a week, that's 700 to 2,100 calories, or roughly half a pound of weight loss per week, with no sense of deprivation. It's not about eating tiny amounts. It's about letting the size of your dishes guide you toward appropriate portions naturally. Next, slowing down. Simple tactics to eat more mindfully. Chapter 10, Practical Lesson 2. Slow down your meals. Eating slowly isn't about chewing each bite 30 times or making meals feel tedious. It's about giving your body time to recognize fullness. Here's how to naturally slow your eating. Put your fork down between bites. This forces a pause and prevents the automatic fork-to-mouth cycle. It's a small action, but it adds minutes to your meal. Eat with chopsticks occasionally. Using chopsticks slows you down, especially if you're not used to them. You take smaller bites and eat more deliberately. Start meals with soup or salad. Liquids and fiber-rich vegetables take time to eat and start filling your stomach before the main course arrives. Eliminate distractions. Turn off the TV, put your phone away, and focus on the meal. When you're distracted, you eat faster and consume more without noticing. Take sips of water or tea between bites. This naturally paces the meal and aids digestion. Research from the University of Rhode Island found that people who ate slowly consumed 10% fewer calories than those who ate quickly, and they reported feeling more satisfied. The goal is to extend your meal to at least 15 to 20 minutes. That gives your brain time to receive fullness signals and prevents the common scenario of finishing a meal and still feeling unsatisfied, then reaching for seconds or dessert. You don't have to change what you eat, just change the pace. That alone can shift how much you eat and how satisfied you feel. If you're finding these insights useful, consider subscribing. We explore simple, powerful habits like these every week. Coming up, building a balanced plate the Japanese way. Chapter 11, Practical Lesson 3, Balance Your Plate. Japanese meals aren't built around one main dish. They're composed of several smaller components that together create balance. You can apply this principle to any meal, even using familiar ingredients. Here's the framework. 1 grain, rice, quinoa, farro, or a small serving of pasta or bread. Keep it to about 1 cup or less. 1 protein. fish, chicken, tofu, eggs, or beans. Palm-sized portion, about 3 to 4 ounces. 2 to 3 vegetables. Aim for variety in color and preparation. 1 raw, salad, pickles. 1 steamed or sautéed. 1 in soup. 1 fermented or probiotic food. Miso soup, kimchi, sauerkraut, yogurt, or kefir. A small amount, just a few tablespoons, is enough. 1 healthy fat, avocado, a drizzle of olive oil, sesame seeds, or a few nuts. This structure ensures you're getting fiber, protein, healthy fats, and probiotics in every meal. It creates satiety, supports digestion, and prevents blood sugar spikes. In practice, this might look like breakfast, scrambled eggs, steamed spinach, a small bowl of oatmeal with berries, and a spoonful of yogurt. Lunch, grilled chicken, mixed greens with olive oil, roasted sweet potato, and a side of pickles. Dinner, baked salmon, miso soup, brown rice, sautéed bok choy, and a small side of edamame. Notice there's no single star of the meal. Everything plays a role. And because there's variety, you're less likely to feel deprived or bored. This isn't about perfection. It's about creating a template that supports your body's needs while keeping meals interesting and satisfying. Final lesson: how to adopt these habits without overhauling your life. Chapter 12. Practical lesson. 4. Start small and build consistency. The beauty of Japanese eating habits is that they're not extreme. They're small, sustainable shifts that add up over time. You don't need to overhaul your entire diet tomorrow. You just need to pick 1 or 2 habits and practice them consistently. Here's how to start. Week 1. Switch to smaller plates and bowls. That's it. Don't change what you eat. Just change the size of your dishes and see how it feels. Week 2. Add 1 fermented food to your day. A small bowl of miso soup at breakfast, a side of sauerkraut at lunch, or a few bites of kimchi with dinner. Week 3. Slow down 1 meal per day. Pick lunch or dinner, eliminate distractions, and aim to make the meal last at least 20 minutes. Week 4. Walk more. Park farther away, take the stairs, or walk for 10 minutes after dinner. Small increases add up. Week 5. Balance 1 meal per day using the framework from Chapter 11. Grain, protein, vegetables, fermented food, healthy fat. Week 6 and beyond. Build on what's working. Add more vegetables. Experiment with fish. Practice Harahachi Buu. Keep refining. The key is consistency, not perfection. If you eat slowly and mindfully most of the time, it doesn't matter if you occasionally rush through a meal. If you usually eat balanced portions, an occasional large meal won't derail you. Japanese habits work because they're woven into daily life, not imposed as a temporary fix. They're not a diet. They're a way of eating that feels natural and sustainable, and that's what makes them so powerful. We've covered the habits. Now, let's bring it all together. Conclusion. So why do Japanese people rarely gain weight? It's not one secret. It's not a superfood or a magic formula. It's a way of living that treats food with respect, prioritizes balance over extremes, and integrates movement and mindfulness into daily routines. Let's recap what we've covered. Japanese culture views food as nourishment, not the enemy. Meals are composed of appropriate portions served on smaller dishes, creating satisfaction without excess. Rice is a foundation, not a filler, and it's always part of a balanced meal. Fermented foods support gut health and metabolism. Fish provides high-quality protein and healthy fats. Meals are eaten slowly, with attention and care, allowing the body to recognize fullness. Cultural practices like Harahachi Buu encourage stopping at 80% full. Daily movement is built into life through walking, biking, and active commuting. In practical changes, smaller plates, slower eating, balanced meals, and consistent habits make these principles accessible to anyone. These aren't trendy biohacks. They're time-tested principles that have kept generations of Japanese people healthy, energetic, and slim. And here's the important part. You don't have to be Japanese to benefit. You don't have to move to Tokyo or eat only traditional Japanese food. You can take these principles and adapt them to your life, your kitchen, and your preferences. Start with smaller plates. Slow down your meals. Add more vegetables and fermented foods. Walk a little more each day. Stop eating when you're satisfied, not stuffed. Build meals around balance, not restriction. These aren't sacrifices, they're improvements. Small changes that make eating more enjoyable, meals more satisfying, and daily life more energizing. And over time, they add up, not through willpower or deprivation, but through creating an environment where healthy habits are the natural choice. The Japanese approach isn't about perfection, it's about consistency. It's about treating your body with respect, eating with intention, and living in a way that supports long-term health and vitality. You don't need to do everything at once. Pick one habit, practice it for a few weeks, then add another. Build slowly, trust the process. Which of these simple habits resonates most with you? Could you see yourself eating from smaller plates, savoring your meals more slowly, or adding a daily walk to your routine? If you found these insights valuable, consider subscribing. We explore practical, evidence-based habits like these every week. And if you have thoughts, experiences, or questions, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear which of these principles you're going to try first, because the goal isn't to become someone else. It's to take what works, adapt it to your life, and create a version of health that feels sustainable, enjoyable, and real.